Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. In a moment, we'll be taking your calls. I'm here with Mr. Rufus Bousquet, and he is going up for the chairmanship of the United Workers' Party at the convention in Marigot on Sunday. And two gentlemen have emerged. Stephenson King, the present leader of the party, and Alan Shastney, interestingly, has challenged him for leadership, something that is not quite often done, especially for someone who is not in an elected position. What do you make, first of all, of that decision to challenge Mr. King?
Well, I mean, he and everybody else, they all have a right to do so. I mean, it's a right that he has. Beyond that, so as a result of that, you can't fault him in any way. Clearly, he's garnered some support. There are people behind him, so it's a legitimate challenge. It's not what you can call just an annoyance, in the sense that, you know, somebody's just going up for something which is they're not likely to get, or it's ridiculous. He has a very real shot at it. You know, it's a tight race, but I think that he has a right to do it, and nobody can fault him for seizing the opportunity.
But do you think it was a wise move at this point, considering that there is no looming election, that, you know, if he were to win,
you never know.
3 years.
Politics is funny, you know. I mean, the guys in Greece were sitting pretty for a while, you know. A year later, they got knocked off their perch, so you never know what will happen in politics. So maybe he has plans that don't extend 3.5 years out. I don't know. But what I will say is that, you know, I mean, I'm sure he had a number of people who advised him, and, you know, I can't imagine he just woke up one morning and decided that this was the best thing to do. I'm sure he probably sought the advice of many. So that's about all I can say on this matter. I mean, it's beyond that, you know, I can't elaborate in terms of what I don't know. I can only say what I know, and certainly I can't give you my opinion on anything in this matter either. I can only state the facts as they exist. But that's about it.
Well, your assessment of them, you sat with them in cabinet, you were in government with them for, well, I was about to say 5 years, but not exactly. Yeah, because you were out of the cabinet for 1 year, so a little less.
Holiday.
Yes, you had a sabbatical in there.
Indeed.
So, what's your assessment of them? You sat with them. Stephenson King was the
leader. Let me just say that Stephenson King has. Look, I've always said Steve is far from perfect. All right, I mean, you know, there are a number of areas in which Steve needs to improve, but he has never been given a mandate by the delegates of this organization to lead. He more or less assumed leadership at a time when the party was facing a tremendous amount of turmoil, not only internally, but also from outside. I mean, the Labour Party was relentless in its quest to derail the government. You know, we faced a number of natural disasters. I mean, the worst drought, and then hurricanes and storms and things of that nature. And he did a reasonably good job in terms of keeping the country together, keeping the party together, keeping the country together, and even made some decisions which I didn't agree with, but which were made. I mean, he was able to pay increases here and there. Some of these, I think, may come back or have come back to haunt us to some extent. But he felt it was necessary to do it at the time when he did it. So he did not do a bad job. And I think almost everybody will agree that the state of affairs from an individual, from a business, from an economic perspective, were better then than they are now. So in the case of Stephenson King, I think he deserves that chance. I think he deserves that opportunity. He is a true tested warrior of the organization. He's been around for a long time. And I don't think it's right, in my own view, to just simply discard him at this time. Now, I know that there are people lined up by their phones to jump down my throat, and they've been set up to do so. That's fine. But at the end of the day, we've got time, and I don't think he should be unceremoniously discarded.
So you don't think that Alan would do as good a job or a better job than he in leadership? I
didn't say that. What I said
is that
there's a right way to do things.
Okay.
Okay, and discarding him at this stage and in this manner, I think, is in very poor taste. and I would not subscribe to it. That is my position.
The former chairman.
If Alan has skills, then let Alan add his skills to the pool of skills that we're going to come together with, and let us build the organization together. But to suggest that you should come in now and depose somebody who has given his life to this organization, I think it is wrong. I think it is in poor taste, without him ever having had the opportunity of being given the mandate of the delegates to say to him, you are the leader of this party, and let us see what he can do. There are conventions to come. Alan can have another opportunity to come at him, or I should just say to present himself. And if Steve can't make the adjustments, and Alan is able to come in there and participate in the process and show his worth, then it should be a no-brainer going forward. So I don't know why there's any hurry to really disparage and discredit a man who has done so much for this organization. I think it's wrong.
Well, probably, it's because it takes so long for a convention, and by the time another one comes around, an election would have passed.
Well, I hope not.
Well,
certainly people should make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, yes. But this is the first mandate that he's really seeking. You sound like you're supporting Steve's candidacy for the leadership of the party.
I'm just not supporting Alan's.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Are you going to say 6 of one, half a dozen of the other?
No. Since you said that's good enough for me.
Yes.
But is there someone within the ranks of the party you excluded because you were running for chairman that you think, or probably even outside of the party, that you think can take the UWP to a place where it should be or could be?
That is not the role of one individual. Look, we've tried these things before.
But as a leader, but every organization needs a leader.
Every organization needs a leader. But at the end of the day, very often you try to fix what's not broken. I don't think the United Workers' Party is broken. I think it needs a little tweaking here, and a little tweaking there, and a few individuals put in place here, and some people have persons. Leadership is not about doing everything, Leadership is about getting the best out of everybody around you. If you try and do everything, you will burn out and you will be absolutely useless. See, these one-man show leadership things, these things are over. You've got to build an organization. You've got to build a team. And so the best captain is not the captain who goes and scores 200 runs every time when his team loses. The best captain is the captain who can get the best out of every single player on the team.
So he says Sam is the best captain. Okay.
Well, that's fine with me. I wouldn't argue with that. So this is how I see it. So I'm not too impressed when people come and talk about all what they can do in isolation. I'm more interested in team building and in getting the. So Stephenson King took a lot of blame for things he ought not to have taken blame for. He's been severely criticized by persons who did not actually fulfill their own responsibilities, but absolutely abdicated their responsibility to him, and then turned around and blamed him because he didn't do their job. So, yes, there's a lot to be done. I'm not suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that Steve is the know-all and be-all and the panacea in terms of leadership for the party. But I think he has been reasonable, and he can be much better if the right conditions are created around him, and I certainly do not subscribe to removing him now in an unceremonious manner, and for someone who, to my mind, is fairly new to the process. I think that's important. I think this gentleman has not gelled, has not shown what is required going forward. There are the whole questions of winning his seat or getting a seat. All of these things are important. In politics, there is a need for experience. And I know some people have said, oh, well, Kenny came into the party and he didn't have experience. Kenny was an iconic figure long before he came into the politics of St. Lucia. People seem like they've been waiting for years for Kenny to say he was coming into politics. And I hope they're satisfied with what they got, But at the end of the day, there's a difference there. And I think that you can't make comparisons. I mean, you're talking about a man who was president of Teachers Union, had been in, I mean, all sorts of things, had been in the very fabric of the society at all levels, at constituency, grassroots level, I mean, if you fought Castries, you name it. So they don't make these kind of irrelevant comparisons. And so for me, at this particular point in time, it's the position that I've taken. But I'm very measured in what I say, because if Alan is to emerge, then we all have to work together. Steve has to put his weight behind Alan. I have to put my weight behind him, and vice versa. Whatever happens, we have to come together. But nonetheless, I have my views on the matter with respect to Stevenson King.
The former chairman, Clem Bob,
yes,
just after the election, made some comments with respect to Stevenson King.
Yes.
I'm sure that you heard them, and they have been replayed in your mind and elsewhere over and over.
Yes.
Your impressions and your feelings about those statements that were made.
Well, I mean, I see Clem as having vented after perhaps being frustrated for a very long time. There are things that I don't agree with, you know, because Clem was the chairman of the party. And if you're the chairman of the party, you don't have to look to the political leader to discipline anybody. You're the chairman. You discipline the person. So on that score, I think he let himself down. But at the end of the day, what he said, a lot of people didn't take it very, very well. I believe when you're in politics, people will fire shots at you from all angles. You don't really expect it from the chairman of the party, because I think it can be very damaging when the chairman does that. But it's done, you know, and Clem has moved on. He's sort of said goodbye to the politics for the time being. And, you know, he said what he said. And as far as I'm concerned, that's water under the bridge. I don't even have time to talk about it, especially in light of the fact that Clem is not even around to deal with the whole politics, and to start that again would be to raise unnecessary controversy, really. Now,
I know that there are a number of people out there longing to ask you questions, so I'll open up the lines now. We'll put the number on the screen so that you can ask of Mr. Bousquet any question that you want about the UWP and any other matter. We need to put on your box as well, so we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll take your calls. Stay with us.